Hello, everyone. Welcome to TSAM Digital. I'm Anam Khan. I'm the head of content here at Foxon Media, and joined by me today is Pino Becker. Pino is the group head compliance and risk at Acolin. Hello, Pino. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No, glad to have you. Pino, first of all, it would be great if you could give us a brief introduction about yourself.
Yes, I am the head of compliance at Acolin. We have a distribution network of over 250 distribution partners all around Europe. We are a legal representative for foreign funds in Switzerland and a one-stop shop service provider for fund distribution in Europe.
Brilliant, brilliant. And to kick things off, Pino, we're going to start with my first question. What is distribution oversight?
So distribution oversight is the practice of monitoring, of assessing and reviewing the respective distribution channels within the network to ensure compliance with the oversight requirements imposed by regulators. This requires a system comprised of specific tools, procedures to continuously assess, monitor, and review a distribution network, whilst being capable to responding to specific events triggered by changes in the regulation, in the market development, or within the network itself. So some basic requirements are, for example, a complete and comprehensive understanding of the laws, of the regulations, guidelines, and standards applicable to the countries in which the network operates, such as also a method of obtaining the necessary information, i.e. what regulators require, and the specific information of importance to the clients using the network. So this is not only for regulatory, but also for strategic purposes. You must also consider the client impact. So conducting a full audit on a distributor may give you the sense of security of having done everything possible with regards to distributor vetting. However, it is costly, inefficient, and a hindrance to market access. So the challenge is to find a balance between the detail and type of information you require, whilst minimizing the burden for the client and your own resources in providing the data to you. Lastly, you also need a well thought out assessment method. So obtaining a great deal of raw data from a distribution network is only the first step. You must then be able to distill the vital points from the data, highlight what is essential, and come to reasoned conclusions. So over the past years, we have seen a growing trend towards specialized outsourcing, as opposed to the development of certain specialized in-house solutions, especially when talking about distribution. So in recent years, regulators have enforced ever more strict requirements on IFMs when engaging in distribution activities. In reaction, these aim to mitigate their risks while trying to minimize their expenses by turning to specialized service providers. Service providers which have had the chance to establish themselves within their playing field, obtain the necessary experience and know-how, and who are aware of trends within the market and know how to respond to clients and their respective regulators' requests are highly, highly sought after. So we were lucky enough to spearhead many of the distribution oversight efforts of our clients when this started to become a real issue of importance back in 2015 or before even. And having not only established a network of distributors and partners, but also engaging in ongoing oversight activities for many years and reporting back to our clients using our network, thereby giving them the insight and especially the security that their products are being distributed over a transparent network. After all, the IFM retains the responsibility for the distribution of its products.
And what can you tell us about the risk-based approach and its importance within distribution oversight?
So the risk-based approach is a key principle within distribution oversight, which has really taken form through the implementation of the European anti-money laundering directives and their effect upon our industry. So It requires responsible entities to, and also authorities and countries to assess and understand the specifically AML and counter-terrorist financing risks to which they are exposed, and in order to take the appropriate mitigating measures in accordance with their specific level of risk. In its core, this means you must be able to understand not only the risks you're currently exposed to, but also how your profile changes through your business activities, especially how your risk profile changes when doing business with others. So translated to the fund industry, this means that an IFM must be able to assess and understand his own risks, but also be capable of assessing and understanding the risks associated with selecting specific distribution channels. So a well thought out method of distribution oversight is the answer. Conducting a detailed risk assessment on the respective distribution channels and display these in a clear and transparent method to enable the IFM to reach the necessary conclusions regarding his risk profile. So the risk-based approach is a principle which gives us the flexibility to efficiently use our resources and take actions to mitigate the greatest threats with regards to anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing head-on.
And having mentioned before the impact AML law has had on distribution oversight, have you noticed any impact with regards to the stricter UBO identification requirements?
Yeah, we noticed the impact these stricter requirements had, not so much when they were implemented in the first place in the national laws of the respective countries, but we saw much more of a reaction by the IFMs when it became apparent how these requirements were being enforced by the regulatory bodies. When we started off really building our system of distribution oversight and started conducting due diligences on regulated entities, it could be a real challenge. We were viewed often as mistrusting our own clients, doubting their reputation and their adherence to law. But then slowly a shift became apparent, and there was a period in which entities appeared to surrender to their fate, having recognized that bowing to this formalistic hassle became inevitable, a sentiment which often still resonates today in the background. So the question remains, how do you view these requirements as an administrative burden to keep the regulators off your back? Or do you view them more as a tool to help you understand where your products land, how it is ultimately, who is ultimately profiting from them, and what risks you are incurring from doing business with them? So while some member states have been more or less successful in the implementation of the necessary mechanisms for proper UBO identification, verification, and monitoring, I believe we nevertheless see a shift in the way we understand and use this data to better understand the business we are conducting.
And you mentioned the importance of transparently and clearly reporting the information obtained through distribution oversight. Could you please elaborate on this?
So the priority of the IFM is to understand fundamentally what is going on with their distribution of their products. This is the basis for oversight reporting, understanding what the IFM needs to know in order to understand the distribution network and the oversight measures exercised upon it. Now, recently, we've seen a shift through a specific reporting introduced in Luxembourg through the supervisory authority, the CSSF, by their circular 18698. Effectively, IFMs had now been asked by their regulator, show us specifically where and how you have distributed your products, how you have identified and monitored your distribution channels, and applying the risk-based approach, what this means specifically to you. Now, It would be a lie to say most IFMs and respective global or main distributors in Luxembourg weren't at least panicking a little bit when confronted with these new requirements. So the onus now lies on those engaging in distribution oversight to report on the risk-adjusted monitoring measures considering where specific distribution activities took place of a specific product. And resulting from this and observing the challenges our clients face, we were happily able to leverage our existing oversight reporting capabilities to meet these specific requirements imposed by the CSSF Circular 18698.
And my final question, how do you see distribution oversight changing in the upcoming years?
So right now we have seen a lot of initiatives being taken. We are seeing regulators interpreting provisions differently. We are seeing service providers popping up, trying to take a piece of the cake, and we are seeing still a lot of insecurity and uncertainty. To counter this effect, standardization and harmonization measures are being deployed. So on the one hand side, we are seeing industry associations trying to standardize the way we monitor distribution. Regulatory authorities are closely looking at each other's initiatives, and we have to see who comes out on top. And on a European level, they recognize that the dispersion caused by their regulatory initiatives this resulted in a strong push towards harmonization measures across European member states, whilst minimizing now the potential for gold plating, which caused the dispersion in the first place. So I expect the topic of distribution oversight to remain of great importance. I believe we might see a continued shift towards standardized measures and a common understanding of how to recognize and assess risks in distribution. I also believe transparency and reporting will continue to grow. However, whilst this trend and the initiatives which carry it are clearly meant to be beneficial, it is important to keep in mind how these are to be realized, working to minimize the uncertainty and any unnecessary burden.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Pino, for the interesting conversation. Really appreciate it. Hope our audience have enjoyed as well, and hope to see everybody at TSAM Digital Regulations and Compliance on the 28th and 29th. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you too.